flavor for your ear. Epic Spotlight. Putting the spotlight on positive goings on the real people that have chosen a real path. The who's, the whys, and the hows are being shared and given to you.
And we're back. We got another one. But before we get going, we got to take care of some housekeeping notes. This episode today is sponsored by Epic Mortgage. Whether you're buying, investing, or refinancing, call Epic today at 708-905-5300. That's 708-905-5300. It's your dreams, your goals. Let's plan together. Now on with the show. Today we have Matricia Jackson. She is a powerhouse in Chicago real estate with almost 30 years of experience as a broker, investor, mentor, and educator. She's the founder of Matricia Jackson and Company and We Wealthy University, both focus on helping families and professionals build real estate wealth with strategy and confidence. Her mission: to make homeownership possible and profitable for everyone. From first-time homebuyers to seasoned investors, Matricia brings hands-on expertise, strong negotiation skills, and heart to every deal. She leads a top-producing team, hosts wealth-building masterminds, and continues to grow her own investment portfolio across Illinois and beyond. When she's not closing deals, she's pouring into her community, spending time with her family, and coaching her agents toward their next level. Welcome, Matricia.
Welcome. Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I was curious, obviously, you've been in real estate for now over 30 years. What really first got you into the business?
Yeah, so what got me into the business, in the real estate business, was my husband and I had a heart to invest in real estate. I wanted to be able to have my fingertips at the data, at the information that is available, and I'll be able to start investing. And that's what got me started in the real estate arena. I was fascinated by just the latitude of how much you could do. It was a stretch, and that's what got me in. I was really intrigued about investing and wanted to have access to be able to continue to invest. That was my entry into real estate.
Now, obviously, in real estate, you've had so many different hats. You've been an appraiser, you've been on the mortgage side, you've been an investor. How has that diverse experience, really, set your mindset or your table onto real estate now?
Being in those different arenas, what I found is not knowing that this would be the outcome of the results. But what I found was I'm able to help a ton of people because I understand those intricate sides of the business. I understand appraising and with that, knowing how to price property. I understand appraising, which translate to understanding, market trends to be able to share with the community of those who wish to invest in real estate. And as far as the lending aspect, I would say that I saved a ton of deals with lending, appraisal hat, and being a realtor and an investor myself. Sometimes you have to pivot through transactions and know how to move and not really kill the deal. I can give you an example of that. Like, for instance, right now, we know that in the Chicago metro area, our values have increased over time. And of course, the era of COVID actually assisted in that. But one of the things I will share in my experience that translates in how these different hats have helped is since we know that we have equity, I cringe when a realtor wants to do a price change. And the reason why I cringe with a realtor wanting to do a price change, because that equity is there and the price change of a property does not translate into someone being able to afford the property because they dropped it $10,000. And my solution to that would be incentivize the actual property. Don't unlock the equity that the consumers have currently, but use that ability to instead of price changing, use it to give it to a buyer who needs closing cost credit, or incentivize maybe an agent who can bring more buyers to the property. So with that kind of gave me the different areas that I work in, gave me more of being a solution-based type of person to be able to know, what could we do with this transaction to save the transaction? Or what could we do with the individual who may not be ready to purchase yet? So how could we help them? And having those different hats have been able to allow me to help a ton of people that probably wouldn't be homeowners today.
I'd like to say, I think that's a huge value that you bring to the market, because I know in my transactions that I deal with, there's times where stuff doesn't go 100% the way it's supposed to go. And we're supposed to be a team, the loan officer, the realtor. And sometimes you'll get the realtor, they'll say, well, I've never heard that before. And that doesn't help anything. That doesn't solve the equation. So I really appreciate what you just said right there. And what a creative way of marketing the property by, instead of reducing the price, but offering incentives so you're not killing. And actually that market change will affect the value in the neighborhood, not just that one property. What is one of the biggest lessons you learned from early years in the industry?
Wow, one of the biggest lessons I learned early in the industry is mentorship is real, necessarily needed. Just in my profession, I feel like if you're new to the industry, the game for you to be able to sit with someone who's seasoned and shadow them, around the transactions to understand the world of real estate. And truly it is a world, and it's so diverse within our sector. It allows you to be able to see what a day in the life of an appraiser, a lender, a realtor, what their actual role is, and how the movement of real estate happens so fast. And not every transaction, as a matter of fact, no transaction is the exact same. So I would say adopting a mentor early, I feel like I probably would be retired now. So if I could have found an avatar like Matricia, who is passionate within the field early on, I just feel like I could really just be much further in the teaching space where I want to be. I think that's just crucial coming into the business, because it's so many moving parts. And then those moving parts ultimately allows you to help more people in a big way, because you're getting hands-on experience with seasoned individuals.
No, that's great. You do speak a lot about building wealth.
Yes.
In real estate. So can you talk about what is that first step? What I hear this, I hear you. What am I supposed to do? What's my first step?
Yeah, great. The first step to building wealth is sitting with a wealth strategist who is in the industry. And I would say you would start with a realtor, someone who has that niche, that background, and who have a resume of references to share along with exploring what your actual why is. So the first thing is getting with a realtor, but the questions that will come to mind is, what is your real reason behind building wealth? And if we can identify your why, then we can back into how to actually get you there. And so that's the first step. The second step is probably the most crucial step, is identifying a capital partner that could help you get started with your first property. That's kind of like on the wealth business side of things, but I'll just, I'll chop it down to some even smaller digestible pieces that you can actually build wealth with your actual home that you're purchasing yourself first. So as a first-time home buyer, setting up that strategic call with the realtor, getting the understanding of what your actual needs are, building wealth definitely starts with your own personal property. It could be you either, 2, 3, or 4 unit building. You can be building wealth in 2 different aspects, one passively and the other one, as we have seen in our Chicago metro area, growth in equity, meaning the difference between what you pay or what you owe, and how much the property is today. So that's one aspect of it. But I would definitely I think strategy goes a long way to understand why you want wealth to begin with, and to identify, your goals around it, your retirement goals, your freedom goals, around why you would want to build wealth. So the strategy call, or the strategy meeting, I should say, is paramount to getting started.
Now, some of our first-time homebuyers that are millennials and Gen Zers, and even our first-time investors, they're having a feeling of being priced out of the market. I'm priced out. It's too much. What advice would you give to those types of people that have that sentiment?
Yeah, so feeling like you're being priced out now, it doesn't solve for if you're going to be priced out later, because the later you wait, the more you wait, understand that prices continue to go up. They're inclining. Relatively, we're happy as homeowners or investors for that very reason. But the sentiment around that, I would share that if you never get started, you will never know how it feels to begin to build wealth. The answer to that is, what is your specific need and what are you trying to accomplish? If I could just say, for instance, one of the things about real estate, I feel like it is definitely, I would say, an art. And the reason why I say it's an art is because if you were a buyer who was looking to, and you felt like you're being priced out of the market, you can begin with a renovation loan for your own personal home. That way, a investor is not dictating to you the price of the home, and you're feeling priced out, because now you have control of that equitable position. So meaning, if you found a home in a neighborhood that you truly love and like, and the house is ugly on the inside, let's say it has shaggy rugs and it has wallpaper in the bathroom, looks like it's from the 40s or 50s, that's things that you can control and change your outcome of feeling priced out, because you can actually renovate that property at a low cost with a lot of the products that are available. So that's one way of, mitigating that actual feeling. The other is understanding that if you're paying rent, you're priced out for sure, and you having no control of your destiny. You're paying 100% of your rent, 100% in interest. There is no incentive that you're getting from paying the rent. You don't get an opportunity to have a tax deduction based off of your real estate tax bill, or your interest paid, or your mortgage insurance paid. You do not have the luxury of building equity because you're doing what you got to do anyway, and that's to pay for a place to live. You're taking away being controlled by a landlord who may have a decision one day abruptly, without considering you, that they want to sell their property. And here you've set the property up, you have your nice furniture, your children goes to school in the school district, and based off of their circumstances, they decide to sell, and you have no leverage because you don't own the property. And so when you speak to pain points about being priced out, I can go back as far as 2019. Prior to COVID, rates were about 3%, dancing around that. And many people still didn't purchase because, for whatever the reason, right? And so when you understand the power of home ownership in different ways, you then have now you're able to make a better decision, an educated decision around what do you need for you, what do you need for your family, and what does real estate mean to you, and that just come by way again of a strategy call of understanding for you to be able to make the proper decision for you and your family as you build wealth through doing what you're already doing, if that makes sense.
It does. It does. Well said. Obviously, I'm just kind of curious on your take on the current, real estate market in the Chicagoland area right now. Are we in a buyer or seller's market? I mean, what type of market is this right now?
You know what? I feel like we're in a neutral market. That's my take. We're in a very neutral market.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's opportunities out in the marketplace always for that buyer, that seller, that investor. It just really depends again on what outcome are you trying? What is the outcome of your actual goals? What does that look like? For a seller today, there's opportunity. For a buyer today, there's always going to be opportunity for a buyer. And simply because you have to get in order to really start to feel and see the translation of the American dream that they call home ownership. So we're in a neutral market. And I think there's plenty of opportunity for the taking for all three individuals, whether you're an investor, a buyer, or a seller. So that would be my take on it. As I see it just depends on what the property is. We still have multiple offers in certain communities. We just closed a few deals ourselves with our team, so people are purchasing. There's transactions that close less than 30 days, some are 10 days. It depends on how organized you are. And simply it comes down to, do you need a place to stay? And if you do need a place to stay, there's a lot of great attributes around home ownership that will lend to your positioning for years to come.
Well said. It's interesting. I've never heard neutral before, but I'll take it. I like that.
Uh-huh.
Let's pivot to investors. Obviously, yeah. What are some mistakes that most first-time investors make, and how can we work to make sure they don't make that?
Yeah, that's my love language. I love that. Emotionally buying. One of the things that we do in our We Wealthy University world is we are the actual, I would say we're the buffer between the transaction and the actual investor, dealing with like real specific core numbers. And so if you buy out of emotion, and a lot of people will say, you know what, I just want to make $10,000 or $20,000 on a flip. That's a very that's a very critical position to be in. Simply because there's costs that many people don't know that goes into your bottom line. So it's your mortgage, it is your utility costs, your carrying costs, period, for the entire project. But then there's costs associated with selling your actual property too. So not getting in a property tight is important, super important. The other aspect is you need, we teach an exit strategy for our investors. We have two exit strategies. One, when we're looking at this parcel or this property, we're looking at it in an as-is state to begin with. And then we're looking at how we can take this property and create an after repair value. So what elements do I need to put into a property to drive the property value above where it actually is? And what we do is we use very conservative numbers. And when I say conservative, making sure that we understand that there could be very well a variance that can come into play that you don't know anything about. So you can get into a project and just say, hey, you may have a plumbing problem that you may have, didn't recognize, even if you had a home inspection. But we making sure that those numbers are numbering in a way where you're protected. So your after repair value would be, if you're looking to flip, to make sure that number aligns. But if you also, the second is to be able to cash flow it. Maybe you may consider renting it. And so what we do is we look at both aspects to make sure that you are investing safely. And that's what I would say. The biggest is move your emotions out the way. and be led by the professionals who have been down this path before is a very important step. I've had even realtors say, Matricia, you know what? Can you look at this deal, 30 grand on the table? I'm like, this deal is too tight. And it was like, what? But because they're looking at the number, but they haven't accounted for the cost of a flip or the cost of if I was to save this or fix this up and rehabbed it and kept it as a rental, will it cash flow? And will it cash flow beyond the mortgage payment? Will it cash flow with, being all in or, having a vacancy rate, which is great in Chicago. We don't really struggle with rentals are huge here. So that's great for us in terms of the margins. But the margins are super important to an investor. And I would say, stay around the $50,000, $40,000 range and take the emotions out.
Yeah, no, it is quite a thing. A lot of people want to invest. Obviously, I think the pandemic kind of restarted people's mindset. They want to, have their own business and they don't want to, go back to work per se.
Mm-hmm.
But, and real estate is one of those dynamics. There's so many things you can do inside of real estate. You're trying to pick and choose, and same goes for an investor. So with that being said, what is a strategy that you like better? I mean, I'm obviously you got flippers, you got, renters, you got this wholesale thing now that's there. Do you like commercial, residential? What's kind of your favorite?
Yeah, I'm a fan of residential, and I'm not opposed to multi-units. It's great. Commercial is great. I'm a passive girl. I love to provide a product and my numbers to align with being able to cash flow a property. Because my goal, my why is to retire with me not needing to physically do anything. And so that's my biggest why for me and my husband. And so what we did was we identified what our goal number is per month. And then we backed into that number that we need to hit to be comfortable enough to that when I stopped doing real estate full time, that it would take care of all of our needs and beyond. And so I love residential. I'm in love with it. I just feel like there's a need for delivering a product to families or to single people, whoever is looking for a rental, to provide that affordability to be able to rent. And then the other thing is, even when I'm doing that, I'm talking to them about, hey, I don't want you to stay in rent forever. Position yourself so that you can purchase a property for your family to get the benefits of home ownership. So that's my thing is residential real estate. And I just love it. I'm fanatical about it.
Nothing wrong with that. Your passion obviously is really like closing the wealth gap in underserved communities as well.
Yes.
So I was just curious, how do we overcome? What are the steps that are going to take to really overcome in these communities?
Yeah, the steps is education. We have to keep educating. And we have to be intentional about getting to the masses of where we can really grasp their attention. So schools, the universities, students who getting ready to graduate, 18 years old, could have been working since they were 16, or they're getting ready to land a job with a job offer letter, really explaining the programs that are available, and how important, it is to know that there is affordability in housing today. And so again, not being priced out, right? And then the other thing is too, Dante, people tend to take information from people who don't own a house. When we talk about the wealth gap or the disparity of those who aren't in the arena of homeownership, taking the advice from someone who doesn't own a property would not be the best person to take advice from. if we can get in front of people on a continued basis to educate around the simplicity and the myths, to be able to share with them and to overturn the myths of what people think in real estate, I think is the route that needs to happen, because many people that we work with, first-time home buyers, they don't even know that they can buy. They had no idea that it was this simple to purchase. Some people think they're so far away. They think they don't have the credit because they really don't know what their credit is, because they've not had the real assessment made on their behalf to make the determination whether they are ready today or they're ready tomorrow. And then along with that, the follow-up and the follow-through of helping them through the actual process to become pre-approved or home buying ready is the essential elements. But it's definitely the education piece and getting in front of those before they destroy their credit. Financial literacy classes is super important to making sure that we could continue to just share this information. And it's real. It's so real, Dante. From when I first bought a house, me and my husband, it's entirely different today than it was, oh my gosh, 25 years ago, 30 years ago. The process is entirely different. A lot of the lenders and products, as you know, Dante, that's today, you've never heard back then of 100% programs of people being able to get keys at a table and not need any money down. Like, that wasn't a thing. And in terms of a big down payment, years ago, we did need a much aggressive down payment than we do now. There wasn't as many down payment assistance programs that were available then than they are now. And the younger you are, the better position you can position yourself to be down the road. And so educating to the young, to the college students, to our millennials, Gen Z, it's so important to just get that information out early. I feel like that's going to really help the gap, close the gap on how many people that aren't homeowners.
No, that's great. As we start wrapping this up, you also are a coach for new real estate agents.
Yes.
How do you go about, encouraging them and showing them the way to, have this a success in a tough industry?
No doubt. You said the key word. It is a tough industry. A lot of people think it's glitz and glam. It's not. And so I'm the proud owner of Matricia Jackson & Co., which is my team of 5 ladies. And we meet in the morning at 8:15 a.m. And the development for this industry is, one, you need to understand that you have to put other needs before yours. So the money will come, but your genuinity has to come across to really helping the consumer. Our team meet like at 8:15 a.m. and the first thing we start off with is gratefulness and wins. And then we dive into how we can help be more of a solution to our borrowers or to our clients. And with that, if you do a great job up front and you really are genuine about seeing people succeed in the industry, meaning the first-time home buyer, repeat buyer, seller, investor, people love to work with people they like. And people like when people come through, that they're honest, integral, and they're going to do what they say they're going to do. This business actually moves in that direction. And if you don't strive to have a good name in that regard, then you're going to stagnate your referrals. This is a referral-based business for sure. You do a great job for people, people are going to refer business to you. But you do have to, as an agent, as a professional, you have to show up professionally. And you have to show up on time, before time. I say to my team all the time, if you're taking someone out, you need to get there before them. If the appointment is at 4, you need to be there at 3:30. Unlocking that lockbox, coming into the house, opening up the windows. Cutting on blinds, or cutting on the lights, I should say. I share that if you're at the lockbox and you're fumbling trying to open up the combination with the family who's excited, breathing over your neck is odd, and it's frustrating because it doesn't go right. It's either the lockbox in combination could be incorrect. It's things that you have to just get in front of that you don't know that's going to happen. And just being prepared, right? Having that knowledge. People like knowledge. I believe that more people think that we've dummied things down so much because of, the internet and the ability for people to do their own search. But no, people are busy with their lives. And if you could be that agent that shows up in a powerful way of not wasting their time and being ready, not just looking at one property or 2 properties today, but this may have been 2 properties that they wanted to see. But what could you do as an agent to make that, to fulfill that their house hunting day was super successful, adding more value to them being out? You're dressed anyway, you're in your car anyway, they're out. Set the expectation. We're going to be out for a couple of hours or a few hours. I have some additional properties that I would love to share with you beyond the 2 that you chose that I believe you would like based off of your criteria. So being in front of things, being proactive is what you have to be in this business, being knowledgeable, making sure that, and if you don't know something, you don't know it. You don't have to fake the funk and pretend like you need to know something. But I just say be very prepared. Have that MLS sheet, on your iPad, because the questions come over all the time. How many square feet was this? Before you go out, another huge thing that we do on our team first of all, we do not take anyone out if they're not pre-approved. That's A. We do not take anyone out who does not have a signed, executed buyer's agreement with us. Thirdly is before they go out to see any properties that they've selected, we send those properties to the lender and say, hey, with our clients on that, can you please provide the estimate of payment for these 4 properties that we're looking to see on Saturday? And that's getting in front of so that our client would know this is their estimated mortgage payment. I think that's just huge. Before you actually put boots on the ground to start getting out and seeing property, but setting the proper expectations. And when a consumer or a client, I should say, knows that you're knowledgeable and you have a track record, they've already researched you anyway. They're going to look at your Google reviews. They're going to your Facebook profile. And when they know you're going to handle you're about the business and you're going to handle the business, that's what I would say for new agents. Come correct. And I would say mentorship is huge. If you do not have someone that you could partner with and learn from, that's huge in not making costly mistakes. Getting a license is one thing, but I always say, I wrote a class that I have my license, but now what? Because there's a whole lot of now what that goes behind getting your license. Like it's just really real. Real estate is amazing career path business that could take you a long way when done right. And so that's what I would share with anyone who's getting into real estate. Understand that it's hard work. It is.
Yes, it is.
It's hard work.
Matricia, how does the audience get in contact with you?
Yeah, so you can get in contact with me at 708-680-6605. I'll repeat that, 708-660-6805. And Matricia Jackson is my website. Would love to be able to lend any free strategic one-on-ones with you for discussion about your home ownership goals, journey around wealth building or investing. I'll be happy to help, or seller or buyer.
That was awesome, Matricia. Thank you so much for today. That was great insights. I want you to have an epic day.
Thank you. I'm glad that you had me on. Thank you so much. This was great, Dante.
All right, you take care.
You too. Bye-bye.